head I wanted to be here. Oh, Cryptanon, he's here. I remember Cryptanon was on our Twitter Spaces like over a year and a half ago, like if I recall this correctly.
Really?
So I want to start this. The agenda for this AMA was strictly given to me by JT, so I'm not allowed to deviate. I have to stick to the points, and we're going to go ahead and start by. I believe JT was to dispel some of the recent confusions regarding the debt. Am I correct?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of questions coming through about that, DMs as well. So, yeah, they'd like to kind of understand how that helps us ultimately.
All right. So, actually, before we go into the actual explanation, we should make an announcement about the buy and host. So, everybody who's buy and host with L7s with us should have been paid on Friday. Is going to be paid at this very moment. So the whole billing situation sort of was flipped on its head because of how complex our billing situation is. And the essence of this complication in a post. But long story short, we're not a traditional hosting company. Because of the way that we offer these products where many people can own the same machine, many people can mine different coins, many people have different rates. All of those are layers of complexity that make it so hard to automate. So it's semi-automatic or semi-manual, let's say, and it requires someone to sift through hundreds of wallets, hundreds of transactions, calculate things individually for each person, because we take the precision of the payouts.
No. Joe, you're going again.
Okay, better now?
Yeah.
You hear me? Can I keep going?
Go.
Okay, sounds good. So anyways, regarding the debt situation. So this is like a macro geopolitical sort of root cause, if you wanted a root cause analysis of why this debt even exists. Basically, high level, over the last 2 years, we've had an energy crisis that swept across Europe and then had ripple effects all the way in North America. We work with a public utility. It's regulated by the actual state and the county. We don't get to decide what the rates are. We don't get to decide
Oh, Joe, you don't get that.
Rate that we get.
It's horrible, mate.
All right, how's it now?
Yeah, you're back.
It's good.
I'm back. Okay, it's not Wi-Fi. It's California. It's T-Mobile reception in California. I've been talking about it for 2 years. If you were in the AMAs from 2 years ago, I just need to move on from T-Mobile. Okay, can I go?
Yep.
Go.
All right. Okay. I feel like I have to sprint through these moments. So, long story short, we have seen a 400% increase in the taxes, surcharges on energy over the last 2 years. Did that part come across?
Yep, we heard that bit.
Okay. Now, the taxes and the surcharge, those cumulatively called tariffs, that's only one component of the ultimate rate that we have to pay the energy company. So just because it's up 400%, it doesn't mean the energy rate is up 400%. The cumulative impact it had on the energy rate is almost 30% increase. So energy for us, we directly went up from 4.3 cents about 5.5 cents. And this fluctuates depending on the month. Then it also fluctuates on the hours of the day. That entire thing is an energy logistical system that also takes a long time to fully understand and actually standardize. But long story short is our cost of business has gone up by about 27%. This was a shock, right? Because it happened abruptly. It was 1 month, you're fine. Next month, they're slapping on a bunch of fees. Now, what happened in that time is everybody who's hosting, they translated that cost of business onto their clients. They just took that cost. They're like, all right, well, just like if a restaurant has to pay higher rent, it'll make its products more expensive. If it has to pay more taxes, it's going to make its products more expensive. So essentially, this is a translated cost of business. However, what we did is we took that shock, we absorbed it. What we didn't absorb is some parts of the energy rate hike. So our rates went up, but they didn't go up because of this specific adjustment from the energy crisis. They went up because it was summer season. So what we decided to do is we'll charge the summer rate, okay, which has always been there, but we'll also cut down our hosting percent share by 50%. So effectively, we balanced out the impact. And we didn't make any money when we were hosting over the summer during this period of time. In fact, we're still not making money hosting. We host about 6.6 cents right now on average. That's our client. And our energy margin has gone up. Has been reduced by about 30%. So to give you a perspective, the bottom line, our bottom line was crushed. And this isn't anybody's fault. This is just what happened in the markets. We were able to absorb it by taking loans. We took personal loans, we took corporate loans, but they're all healthy loans. We're almost done paying it back. We subsidized part of the energy during the summer, not just for EMF1, but for all the collections that were hosting with us in North Carolina. Because remember, almost half our operation was relocated out to Paraguay. So in that time, that operation was not mining. So that operation was not subsidized. So the only clients that had anything that had any debt that was subsidized, so basically we paid energy for them, was the EMF1 collection, the L7's Buy and Host clients, and I believe that there was like 3 other individual entities that mine with us, so their own their own pools, and those people were the ones that were impacted by this. So what we decided.
Joe, we're using it for a second. Just give it a moment. You were fine up until now. Just bear with us for a sec. Okay, I think try now.
Okay, you hear me?
You're back, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Okay. Cool. So long story short, our cost of business increased.
You're still rugging, mate. You're still rugging.
Okay. I'm literally not I seem will just make
No, Joe,
but
you should try and you should just leave it again. Well,
Kryptonon's bang on. Yeah, reminds me of dial-up internet.
yeah, he summed it up pretty well. I agree, Kaneko. That's
Hear me.
pretty much the same.
Hear me.
Yeah, so
Hello?
Joe, just summarize everything you said, like, so we can get past this point and we can move on to the next. Okay, guess not.
Hear me?
No. This is a hassle.
Tell me when you start hearing me again.
Yeah,
No.
we can
Find a
hear
new
you.
spot.
We can hear you.
I'm just gonna summarize it. Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. So the cost of doing business across all of North America and Europe has increased in terms of the energy side of things by at least 30%. In that same time, because of inflation, the overhead, so the cost to run business aside from energy, has gone up significantly. That includes things like the cost of building, the cost of electrical work, the cost of groundwork, shipping, logistics, everything. And if you had to put a number on it, at least by 20%. So when you take the cumulative effect of the overhead costs, okay, the operating costs, the energy costs, all of that together has crushed margins for hosting companies and mining companies. And if you compound that by the market being down anywhere from 50 to 80% over the last 2 years, then the total effect is about a 70% reduction in profitability for hosting and mining companies. That's why we saw a massive number of companies, corporate, industrial level miners that have millions of dollars in funding go under. We don't have millions of dollars in funding, yet we didn't go under. And instead, we found ways to try to mitigate the effect, absorb it ourselves. And now we're at a point where we can't keep absorbing things. We have to actually start running a viable business. So before we talk about how we're going to run a viable business, because I want you to understand what it's like to be a client for Alteri compared to the market, because it's not very easy to have that reference point unless you've worked with other people, unless you've worked in other hosting companies. So we can just look at basic facts. Let's look at the facts. So the facts in North America is this. The average energy rate in North America for mining at this moment is about 9 cents. 9 cents. When you compare that to our 6.6 cents on average, then you're talking about a 38 or 40% difference between what people mining with Alteri are paying and what people mining in North America are paying. Now that 9 cents, that's an energy rate. That's not even the all-in rate. You have to factor in deposits, maintenance, instance fees, like, you know, your machine goes down and you want them to go troubleshoot it. They're going to charge you like $10 to $25 depending who you work with. Sometimes they don't, but they find other ways to slip those costs in. So when we talk about the all-in rate that you're paying a kilowatt hour, you take all the costs, not just 10 cents, 10 to 12 cents. So just to give you a frame, really understand what that means for you, let's take 12 cents and translate it to what does that mean in terms of profit mined with a Bitcoin machine. 12 cents is pretty much means that almost 100% of what you mine goes to cost. So right now, if you're mining a Bitcoin machine at 12 cents, you're keeping 5% of your revenue as profit and 95% is going to cost. So by that same exact logic, if you are mining at 6 cents, then 50% of everything mined goes to cost. That means you're keeping 50% in profit. So when we put our
Joe,
our case,
no, carry on.
In our case, people are keeping as much as about 60% or a little bit less than 60%. I would say 52 to 55% of what they mine as profit. That is that's over double what the average market is keeping. To give EMF1 as a reference point, over the last 7 months, the average return for EMF1 has been 3.28% per month. When you compare that to what the market is doing, the market's doing 1.6%. So you're making 100% the returns that people are making mining with the same machines for the same exact coins. And then the question is why? Why is that the case, right? It's things aren't going exactly how you expect them, but those expectations are a failure of our community and what you expect from us. But you have to look at what the market's doing because you need to be able to adjust so that there's a reasonable framework that you're thinking about this. That doesn't mean that, we can change terms, can change how we do business, and you should still be happy. It just means that be a little bit more realistic and understand what the market is. So when we're telling you the costs of our businesses are going too high up, you understand that this is not that big of a deal in the greater scheme of things. So how are you getting these actual returns? Well, we have a lean operation. Our average employee is getting paid $3,500 a month. We have 9 people on the team, right? Our costs go up on the top line, our costs go down on the bottom line, and we're not translating any of that. We don't even translate service fees, taxes, and the surcharges and energy. We are absorbing that, right? But we're at a point right now where we need to be able to scale. We need to be able to become more profitable. We need to be able to pay people better, right? Because people need to get paid so that they can feed their families. They stick in the business. People will start leaving. No one wants to work for less than what they value their work at. So we are shifting as we start to turn a corner in the market, as we start to find opportunities that we can create, really good returns for everybody, but at the same time maintain viability. And we need to dig ourselves out of loans, and we need to be able to pay deposits for the next sites that we want to expand, which all come back to growing Genesis, to growing the business, to being able to continue offering the. We need to start thinking about how we're going to translate costs in a very fair way. And that's and the first thing was, all right, let's just take back the debt that we covered for them, because anyway, we need this money to put in deposits. Otherwise, we can't run machines. Our clients don't pay deposits. We have over $500,000 in deposits. So this is really a long-winded way of just giving you a little bit of a perspective into what goes on behind the scenes to allow people to get over 100% the returns of the average market. So what happens if we need to collect debt, right? So it's 38,000 across about 500 or 600 machines that were affected over a period of 4 payouts. It's going to affect the return by anywhere from 25 to 50.
It's 3 payouts.
3 payouts, yeah, but we discussed for like buy and host, maybe we'll do 4 payouts instead. So that way it's not 33%, it's 25% each time, and it can give people better returns. So it's between 3 and 4, let's say. But then there are other costs. There are service and taxes that we've been paying that need to be translated into the actual cost of doing business for the actual client. They have to be able to share the burden. And so when all is said and done, when you look at what happens to the return, if we were to translate the intended amount of the cost of doing business that skyrocketed over the last 2 years, well, people are still going to be doing 70 to 80% higher than the market average. So it's really an act of balancing the core value propositions of Alteri, being that retail friendly, no deposit, no bullshit fee, plug and play type of model that's gotten us to be so successful, with the costs of doing business to continue offering this opportunity to clients. That's really all it is. So it's internal structural changes to how we need to maintain margins to keep growing and offering these opportunities. And it's going to have a marginal effect on clients, especially long term. You could say almost negligible. And when you compare yourself to the market, you're still going to be significantly better off. And that's the core principles. We want to make sure that anybody working with Alteri is doing so much better than the market average. And right now, whether it feels like it or not, I know no one is excited about 3.28% returns per month. It's true. Way better than the average market. And we don't do shady. There's maybe 1 or 2 people who sometimes get frustrated, understandably so, and they say, oh, there's some shady shit going on. Nothing is really shady. If there's shady shit, you would not be seeing 100% more returns than the market average. So here's another perspective. We just launched this CASPA mint. People made 37% returns when extrapolated over a month, right? 37% returns is not something any hosting company is going to give back to its client. The reality is they'll cap returns, right? They'll sell you an ROI, and you'll get that ROI, and that's it. No one's going to complain if they get a 25 or 30% return. Yet the hosting company can make so much more. But we don't do that. We take risks with our investors. So with our clients, we take risks. We pay for our infrastructure. We take loans to expand. We pay deposits for your machines. And then we do a profit share. And we do a profit share that is an intimate relationship with our client, which allows us to have reasons to maintain these machines better, to keep them up and running. So we're co-invested with clients. We take risk, they take risk. So with that paradigm in mind, if there's a 37% return that month for the client, that's great. We're happy for the client. If it's 55%, that's great. We're happy for them. We're not going to go like, oh, well, shit, this Caspa machine, it's 1.5 times the size of a normal machine. So really the cost of running it is much higher, of hosting it is much higher. It's a different firmware, it's a different software, it's a different distribution system, it needs its own custom APIs. Like we can have so many reasons to do what other companies do, where they do a 50-50 on altcoin machines. We do 50%, you take 50%. We don't do that because that's just not who we are. It's not how we operate. And so that's all I really have to say about this debt. I'm sorry the way that it. Go ahead.
I was going to say a good question that came in from Enigma was, will these additional charges or chargebacks also get spread out over the previous miners who are in North Carolina? I think you covered that with the fact they weren't plugged in during the premium over the summer. But if you just want to talk to that quickly.
Yeah, no, those are not. So
So you're cutting up again.
The answer is no.
Okay, we got that one.
There you go. Short and sweet. Okay, so shall we? So we've talked about that particular element, and I think it was an important one. I mean, I certainly got a lot of DMs around that. I'm sure Helly, you did as well, as will have you, Joe. So, shall we move over to the other hot topic of the moment, which would be good to kind of understand a little more. Clearly, Paraguay has been a challenge. I think it was a risk that I think we took at a time where Paraguay looked very appealing. There's a hell of a lot that's been going on. I think with every delay that we could have experienced has been experienced. So where are we at now with Paraguay? What's the latest status? What can people expect?
Just before you go there, I think there's a few questions that are coming in, being typed out. I think it would make sense to answer those quickly and then.
Oh yeah, they've been popping in, haven't they? While I've been talking.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can, Joe. So.
Okay, I see the questions. I can answer them.
Okay. Joe, should we read them out for the recording?
Okay, can you read them?
Yeah, I'll read them out. Okay, so. I think I'll scroll up a bit more because there were some others. So Escobar's asking, so how do we prevent us from being blindsided in 6 months? Do we have an accountant? I think this is kind of 2 questions in one go. So Joe, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so it's a good question because, I mean, the viability of the company hosting your miners is directly in the interest of the client, right? We used to before we started hosting ourselves. We had our machines with another person who was hosting. They blew up a transformer. They had so many brownouts, which means like your machines are just on and off for no particular reason besides that the load is probably not good. And then they went under, and so we lost a lot of uptime. And there's a few projects that we know of that had very similar experiences. They hosted their machines with the host, and the host had no clue what they're doing, or at least they weren't good enough. And so then they went under, and then their machines just sort of sat on racks for 4 or 5 months until they became obsolete because they were already like a year and a half old. So in our case, we've survived through a 2-year bear market. Some may suggest we're still in a bear market. And it wasn't done haphazardly. Everything was intentional. I mean, there was a lot of decisions that we had to improvise on, let's say, but even the improvisations were calculated to at least the best of our knowledge and expertise and consultancy. We've worked with professional energy brokers to make sure things make sense. We've always done inspections. We've always done due diligence. Lawyers were always involved. We've always done bookkeeping. These are all the basics of running an operation that outside of Web3, but doesn't necessarily happen in Web3. So we've brought these principles in with us, and we've continued to operate that way. And we're pretty confident. In fact, I'd say 99% because I believe in uncertainty. And we've seen a lot of that, unfortunately, in the last 2 years. But I'd say we're 99% confident that with the changes that we're making internally, and with the way that we've been running and the decisions we've made, that there is no risk that in 6 months we're going to be blindsided. There's always black swan events. Like by blindsided, you mean something happens that we couldn't predict. Like, yeah, sure, we could go into World War III, and then suddenly there are sanctions all around, and energy skyrockets, and now suddenly it's not 6.6 cents, it's like 20 cents, and it's not just going to affect us. The entire crypto market would go to shit. So in those cases, it's highly unlikely, but there really is no way to prepare for something like that. But things that are more controllable, like running an operation that makes sense, to that extent, I think 99% confidence in 6 months, we're not going to be 9 megawatts, we're going to be 25 megawatts. We're not going to be 9 people, we're going to be 15 to 20 people. So I'm very confident we're moving in an accelerated way in the right direction.
Perfect. I think Escobar, that answers your question, Escobar. If not, or if you want to add anything on, feel free to type some stuff in. So we cover the next question. There's another one. According to the spreadsheets shared after each payment, I assume we're talking about EMF1 payments. It showed the energy costs at example cents every time. Were those the real costs, or was there other valuations to share costs and keep margins higher? So Joe, I think he's referring to the spreadsheet we posted in our presentation. Okay. Yeah.
So our actual cost during the summer was between 7.8 and 8.2 cents.
Joe, you're cutting off.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yeah. Now it's more. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, so our actual costs were greater than what we actually put on these spreadsheets. So we went up to 8.1 cents one of the months in the summer. So actually, we covered energy, which is where this debt came from. We covered the energy. We slashed our hosting by 50%. For more than a month, I believe it was 2 months or 3 months. But the entire time, we actually, from the beginning of EMF1, we reduced our intended hosting profit share. It was supposed to be somewhere, what was it, Heli? Maybe it was like 18 to 23%. I don't think we ever went up that.
It was
23 was the highest.
20, yeah, it was 23.
Yeah. But I don't think it ever went above 15. So
we did 23%. I think that was the premise. And we just never went above, 15%? Maybe we did one month at 17%. I don't recall. We did 15, then we cut down to 7.5%. So we definitely absorbed costs. That was not the actual cost for us to run the business. We subsidized the actual cost.
Yep. Joe, we actually did do one payment at 22, and that was, I think, the very first payment, and then everything after was 15. Just to be clear. So yeah, I think that answers the question. I think we'll move on to the next one again.
Yeah,
I just want to make a point here. Just a point about this. Us taking the burden versus spreading it over clients. Remember, when we do this, the actual effect on Alteri Enigma is amplified, because we are taking the burden not from one entity, but from 100 entities, right? So the way it affects us is directly proportional to how many people it's protecting. So if we're mitigating this off of 100 people, that means the effect on us is 100 times greater than it would have been on just one individual client.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, understood.
To visualize it.
Should we move to Feather?
Yeah. So Feather 15 asks, how are these loans getting paid off? Where are those funds coming from? I think that's the first question. Then
that's the first one. Yeah.
I'll give Joe time to answer, and I'll go to the next question.
Yeah. So we have a group of investors that have invested their funds to continue scaling and expanding. So Paraguay was a group effort. It was a structured investment group. But in terms of funding the losses in North Carolina with respect to increasing cost of business, that wasn't investor money, that was loans. So we took in loans 372,000, well, 372.5 thousand. That helped us cover deposits that were unpredictable. In fact, Duke themselves continue to ask us for unreasonable amounts of deposits because they see the market going up. They know maybe now we can afford it. So they're asking for $215,000 more to run your machines, right? We don't charge you anyone a deposit. So this is coming out of us. So then we're left with a choice. Do we take a loan or do we charge people? And obviously charging people deposits, I think is unreasonable because that's part of our value proposition. And it's not going to be a simple, that's never something that would cross our minds. We want people deposits. So what did we do? We took a loan, 372,500. That helped us cover deposits in North Carolina, helped us cover deposits in Paraguay. We also had to subsidize the cost of relocating. So when we moved machines from North Carolina to Paraguay to pursue that cheaper rate, because again, we were in a very bad bear market, guys. Bitcoin's price dropped to almost 12K. So we were barely going to be profitable. Everyone was underwater. We were still marginally profitable. And we said, heck, this could last for 3-4 years. Who knows, right? This could get way, way worse. So we need a solution. We can't keep absorbing costs. It cost us over 120K to just move these machines. So someone had to pay for that. We took about 50% of that cost we took from people. So they had the option to move their machine or keep it. And the people who elected to move it paid 50% the shipping. Then we paid the rest. And that came out of personal loans. So I put into the company over $240,000 just to give it a budget so we can pay salaries, so we can cover transportation, so we can cover attorney fees. We needed to cover attorney fees because we're doing a lot of due diligence. We're signing contracts. We're honoring. So the company needed a budget, and it just was coming.
Joe.
So that's what I mean. Yeah.
Just give it a sec so you come back. Yeah, try now. I think you just got to mute and just sit still for a second every like 2-3 minutes. It looks like 5 minutes, and then you're back.
Poor lad. He's rugging proper.
Yeah. Joe, can you hear us?
Well, he's muted at the moment, so he's not going to say anything.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
back now.
Okay. Yeah. So long story short, the way we're going to pay the debt back is through scaling and expanding. That gives us opportunities to create more premiums, create more business, and we've been paying back our debt. So we're about 70% done with building the reserve to pay the debt. So, but we anticipate by January next year all the debt will be gone.
Yeah, and that obviously it is based off machines going up and continuous growth. So none of this would be possible without continuous growth, which we've achieved. So yeah, I think that answers that question.
Which there's a point to be made there, because I think it's a very valid criticism when people say, "Hey, we haven't even nailed down the expectations for Genesis. We're still waiting on a website. We're still waiting on a dashboard. Why are you guys selling?" Well, because selling is quite literally the lifeblood and the fuel that's keeping this company going from going under. That's continuing to allow us to withhold all of these unpredicted struggles like delays in Paraguay and really high shipping fees and all that stuff. So once we stop selling, then the engine stops working, and then everything sort of hits a standstill, and there's no way out. So that's what we're avoiding, and we're at a very comfortable point now where we are almost sure that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think Feather's got like a part 2 and a part 3 to this question.
All good.
So,
All good.
so we've obviously talk about funds, profit and loss, keeping afloat. A further second question is, what would prevent EMF 3 and 3.5 payouts on a regular basis? I think it's
So
completely unrelated in that sense. Ellie?
yeah, and then he adds on, it would seem like Genesis payout have been delayed. Yeah, so if you're basing it based on Genesis payouts, the only reason why there hasn't been payouts in Genesis and EMF2, which we're gonna cover later, is because the machines have not been on. If a machine is on, payouts happen. If a machine isn't on, payouts don't happen. So what would prevent EMF3 and 3.5? It would be us not being able to put machines on, which so far it has not been an issue because all of those machines do not go to Paraguay, they go to North Carolina, and we already have a bunch of machines ready and mining. So there is no issues, and we don't foresee any issues. The supply chain for Casper miners has been very solid and good to us so far. So we shall see. And then the next question, or the next, I guess, part three of the question is: do we have an estimate of how much Casper will be rewarded for 3.5 on a monthly basis?
Changes daily, dude.
No, I don't.
Upwards.
Yeah, and
At the moment.
because we did a pre-order. Because we did a pre-order due to selecting the best machine in terms of dollars per terahash and the soonest pre-order available. We can give you the current amount, but that doesn't really give you anything because you want to see it when it actually arrives. So everything should arrive in 3 weeks. So the actual pre-orders should be arriving to our suppliers within. Okay, so it's the 21st now, but it's 12 o'clock, so it just turned 21st. So they should arrive between 27th and 30th from the manufacturer to our supplier, and then it will take another 7 to 8 days if all goes well to get to our facility, and then 1 to 2 more days to turn on. At that point, at that difficulty of Casper mining, at that emission for Casper, we will know how much it will be, and obviously we're going to announce, we're going to do a breakdown like we do every time, and we're going to pay out weekly, which has been a challenge on its own. And at the moment we're talking with our dev to see how the best way would be to distribute EMF3 and 3.5 in Casper weekly, so not monthly, not bi-weekly, not in wrapped Casper. We're looking at and making good progress on. I just got some news as well on paying out in Casper on the Casper chain. So it's looking very good, but we can't. I mean, we can give an estimate, but we don't really want to particularly do that because it doesn't make sense and it's going to change. So I'd much rather give it 5 days or 7 days before the actual arrival installation to do that.
So, I mean, from me, 2 points to that. First and foremost, we would much rather give information based on coming from a position of knowledge.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We can only go based on what the current Casper setup is, and obviously those miners were acquired a lot earlier. So we have been ordering probably at its most efficient. So when you hear Helly there talking about pre-ordering, this is actually where the supplier actually instructs the manufacturer directly to actually build the unit. That enables us to not be going elsewhere potentially and getting a premium on something that might be immediately available, but blatantly they're actually taking the piss with the pricing. You know, we've set a ceiling of which we're willing to pay. We want to make sure that
and there's a balance to that.
Yeah, there's that cost savings actually passed across to you, so we can keep those returns as high as possible. Because trust me, there are some highwaymen out there that are absolutely exploiting the retail investor. Advertising these high rewards. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I'm not going to give names, but there is someone out there, and I have shared with some of the community. But there is a project out there, I'm not going to name names, and it's not Steady Stack before anyone asks, because I know you ask, but it's not that. It's another third party that most of you have never heard of. I hardly have ever heard of, but they are charging, literally, I think it's for half a terahash, they're charging around $1.7K.
Holy moly!
So if quick maths for you guys, that makes it $21,000 per machine, and which makes it just about double what we've been securing machines at, or slightly less than double, maybe 75% higher. So they're charging 75% higher.
We call that
Oh.
100% premium.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be exact, but it's a piss take. So
No,
this
that
is
means
what,
I say it that way, Helly, because I want people to really visualize what's happening.
yeah.
You give them $2. You give them $2. They put one in the pocket, and they use the other one.
Pretty much. And that's the alternative, guys. If it's not us or our good friends at Steady Stacks, like that's the alternative. And if we look, yeah, trust me, it's not a good world out there. That being said, I think to answer that question, I just wanna move on, because we have a whole section for EMF3, so we can talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, if we just quick take a look at PDD's next question, I know that we covered it. We're gonna talk about all of the different sites that we're looking at, and we're gonna save that towards the end, along with the data that on the Casper, the Casper Mint, the EMF and 3 and 3.5, and also the Casper purchases. So we're going to park those towards the end. So PDD, your question is not going to be ignored, and I can never tell whose bloody PFP that is. Rich, Gator, the expansion plans again. What we'll do is we will come back to that. Yannick is obviously asking still a lot of questions around the cost side of things. In the interest of time, we are going to move on, but if there's anything that we haven't answered on the subjects that we've spoken about so far, we'll take those offline, and we'll include that in an update. So without further ado, Paraguay was next on the list, if I'm not much mistaken. Ellie, is that right?
Do you believe so? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, Joe, Paraguay. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of history. I feel like that we could actually write a novel on Paraguay. But I think a lot of people in the audience have invested in some form. So, what is the latest from our friends in South America?
Including us.
Yeah,
including us.
Definitely not our favorite topic. So I just want to defer. I want to display some blame here, and just let you all know that Nana has experience in that region, so it's all his fault. All of these delays, he could have foreshadowed himself. So I'll start with that. To give more objective feedback here, so we have 125 machines up from 1,091 machines that we have there. Now, the 1,091 machines in Paraguay did not all arrive at the same time. They were staggered over a period of 3 months. The most recent shipment was maybe 2-3 weeks ago. That's when everything arrived there. Now, there are two problems. I know most of you probably already know this, but there's 51 people in here and some new faces. So just by the way of review, we had one big problem, which was the delay. Now, this was a coincidence of some natural issues that no one can control, like droughts, which lowered the water level in the crossing, the canal, and the Panama Canal. That we shared an actual document showing that there's a implementation of a vessel cap per day, which was 32. So there was a massive backlog. So that was a 2-month delay purely because of that situation. Now, when things got there, it's not necessarily any better. We had energy delays in Paraguay, and a lot of that was regulatory and also structural. Things there are slower than the most suburban or rural parts of the United States. And, in some of those areas, you could wait months for the government to do anything. So, fortunately, energy is available, but the way that they're going to release this energy is in increments, and that is actually a very common process. So that part is not unexpected. So we're waiting to see on Monday next week, we will be putting on another 150 to 200 miners. That's the hope. This Thursday, so within 3 days, we are meeting with the team again in Paraguay to actually think about moving a lot of the miners 5 minutes north of our current site there So it's really a 1-day project, and getting them all up potentially within a week. So either 150 to 200 can come online next week, and then the rest have to sort of wait for these increments, which is 1 to 2 weeks each time. Or there may be an immediate solution to get all the rest up in a week. So Thursday we'll have more information. We
Joe,
have backup plans. Yeah.
Can I just clarify that the first and all of the batches of machines are going to be a mix of different entities and parties to the best of our abilities to balance. So EMF machines will be turned on, Genesis machines will be turned on. It wouldn't be a single party being turned on, just the whole allocation, nothing else. Just to clarify quickly.
Mine is on mute.
Yeah. So sorry, I missed that. What was the question? Was it a question or a comment?
No, I was just clarifying that we're gonna split the allocation between EMF, Genesis, and everyone else. So it wouldn't be a single party getting everything on. It will be a balance between all, based on when they arrived.
Escobar is moving to Paraguay.
Yeah.
We will hire you to move to Paraguay. So okay, so that's the Paraguay situation. Unfortunately, a lot of people are disappointed. That's about 50% of our operation, and it's shrinking because our operation outside of Paraguay continues to grow. But the point is, it's a very significant part of our operation that has been not functioning for now 5 months, right? So the delay is about 2 months, but from when we took things off until today, it's been about 6 months. So it's not great, but hopefully we're starting to see things turning a corner. We're really hopeful that within the end of this month, we're going to see the majority of the machines come online, and if not, we have backup plans that are a few hours away, so within Paraguay, but other sites. And they're U.S.-based companies that set up shop in Paraguay, and I think that might be our best backup plan. So we have a representative next week that's going to visit these sites. They have enough energy to actually accommodate our miners, so it's definitely a viable backup that we're going to sort of put a deadline of first to second week of December. If we don't see these things all coming online with the original intention in sight, that we're just going to have to activate the backup plan and just make sure everything gets online before the end of this year.
Okay, have we been in a bit of a standstill for the last couple of weeks, a bit of an impasse?
Yeah, it's really just having the same conversations, waiting on the same thing. The energy company needs to give us the green light to put some miners on. They need to actually provide that energy to the distribution substation. You need to pay a deposit. Once you pay the deposit, it's 2 to 10 days before they bring things online. So we've paid the deposit. So now it's that 2 to 10 days that we're waiting on. So the 10 days would be next week, Monday. So that's really it's just been just a waiting game. I mean, we know what needs to happen. It's about making it happen.
Understood. And I mean, how quickly could we act if these other sites are viable, and what impact could that potentially have? Are there any negatives?
Yeah, so there's one negative, but you can always. It's everything in life's about perspective. So, or using opportunity costs. So, we can get things on probably within 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. If we decide we're moving and we're gonna pursue the backup plan within 2 to 3 weeks, I imagine everything is back online, and that's good. But the cost or the trade-off is that the energy is going to be more expensive, right? It's going to be about 20% more expensive. But when you put that in perspective, we're talking sub 6 cents. That it's still sub 6 cents. So it's still 40% or 45% better than mining in the United States. Not in our facility, but in the average facility in the United States. And also, the reality is a lot of corporate miners have moved to Paraguay. You have Canon, Bitfarms, you have like two other big names. I cannot recall them, that are setting up miners there. So when we started selling our rates in Paraguay, we were selling them as low as 4.2 cents to 4.5 cents all in, right? And now the average rate in Paraguay that's being sold is 6 cents. So it's almost like North Carolina. So because of these changes, that's when, and this change happened over the last 2 months. We're like, okay, the actual value proposition of relocating, paying higher costs on machines for import taxes is sort of void, because what are you saving, half a cent to make a 2 to 4 month trip to Paraguay and pay 16% more on machines? So those that are already there at the rates that we have are going to be very happy when things come online. But anybody new who wants to go to Paraguay, we've been saying no, it's just not worth it. We have North Carolina, which is now full, but we also have other sites we're looking at, and we're going to start developing in Texas and Arkansas and so on.
Let's keep the structure. We can talk about later, because I think that's a whole point on its own that we can cover about expansion.
It's already pretty late. We're like 1 hour in, guys.
It's all good. Like, we have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So, were there any other questions, or should we move on to the next topic? JT, remind me what the next topic is.
Our favourite, and probably one that many in the audience are interested in, which is a Genesis.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Joe, you're around, or should I take this one?
Yeah, what about Genesis? I think we had made a.
We had kind of covered it, but Genesis, but also mini Genesis, the plan and timeline.
Yeah, so really, it's when machines come online plus 1 month when we can do the rewards, because they need to mine the rewards. But I'll give you some overview. To Paraguay, so we relocated all the Bitcoin Genesis miners to Paraguay, and we also purchased. This is over the last 3 months, and I've posted about it. We have purchased a significant amount of machines. I think cumulatively 60% increase in the number of machines for Genesis. None of it which is realized yet. That last distribution had none of these machines. So the number of machines, the size of the pool has increased significantly since we turned them off. And the reason that was possible is because we continued to scale. So we have spent over 240,000, I think, from the sales premiums that we've done outside of Web3, selling to clients. We put that all into buying machines for Genesis. So that's one component of scaling Genesis. Another thing we're thinking about, Caspa is looking extremely good. And if it continues to be sort of our golden goose, then we would definitely be looking into ways to maybe find Caspa reward distributions as well. But so this is sort of our framework, how we want to scale Genesis. It's a bits and pieces of every single thing that we're doing, and so far it's been working well. Unfortunately, it's just getting them online that's been mostly the issue now. But regarding mini Genesis, or I presume you mean the V4. So V4 is very similar to Genesis. It's pretty much the exact mechanics. It's just about their pool. They have unfortunately a smaller pool, because a large portion of the V4 budget was spent on Kadena miners, which, crossing our fingers, may recover, but right now we're pretty much worthless. And again, no one could have predicted that at the time, but it needs to do catching up. That's why the reinvestment period for V4 was longer than Genesis, or pushed back as compared to Genesis. And our hopes is a month after Genesis is restored and the distributions are restored, that we can start doing the distributions for V4. That's all contingent on their machines coming online as well. So V4 has a lot more L7s. and L7s are generally more profitable, significantly more profitable than Bitcoin miners. So we're not concerned. It's just about the market recovering a little bit. Litecoin miners are not doing that great because of the halving and then the reduction in Litecoin's price by about 40% and Dogecoin by about 40%. So we just need a little bit of recovery, but what we really need is machines to just come online, and things will become more clear. There's also a balancing act we've talked about where some of the costs to actually run and scale was budgeted in Genesis and then budgeted in the mini Genesis or V4. So because of that, they have to be justly balanced. Like V4 took a hit with Kadena miners, and therefore we need to find a way to restore the integrity of the pool. And that's what we're working on. So how do we do that? It's not by taking things away from Genesis. It's by intentionally, purposefully shuttling more of the scaling towards V4 until it sort of restores its expectation. And we've been doing really well with that. So I think it's a matter of getting things on and people seeing for themselves what these rewards look like to really understand that we've done miracles to a bear market.
Thanks, Joe. I think you more than covered that. I'm looking at questions coming in, and they were coming in thick and fast. So
one.
P. Diddy actually had a question on the PY piece. So he said, wouldn't we rather wait until we set up shop instead of using another host, or would this be temporary for Paraguay?
So the backup plan is to use another host. It's not temporary because then we would just really be losing twice as much time. I think the reason we've been reluctant to move in the last month is because we understand that the process of getting set up is not easy, and becoming, acclimated to the new team, the new site, infrastructure, all that stuff is a nuanced process. So we don't want to have to move, but if that's the only way to get things up, then that's the only way to get things up. And once we do that, it has to be a one-time thing. We can't go back and forth. One idea was to split the machines in two. So 545 stay in the current site. That's going to reduce the timeline of them coming up. And then 545 are sent to another, the backup facility. That way we're diversifying, spreading the risk, but also really the focus is the timing.
Understood. And Nanemo's got the follow-up question. Are the miners shipped there now grandfathered under the old rate of 4.2 cents? Or has that changed?
So our cost of doing business, so our energy cost with all things considered is about 4. We have one client, maybe me, I think one client that is at around 4.4. But most clients are spread between 4.4 and 5.4, something like that. If that answers your question. But we have that rate locked for 4 megawatts, so all 1,091 machines for 5 years, with the ability to renew the contract at the same rate. Whether that happens or not is anybody's guess at this point. It seems like the mining industry is like the wild, wild west. People, even large companies, surprisingly, make claims and promises and even contractual terms, and then suddenly find ways to dance around them. But we'll see.
So in response to that, so if people have procured whole miners, so ignoring the EMF2 and the other stuff that's gone, would you be giving a vote to those individuals that if they want to move to the new place because they want their miners online, or whether they're happy to wait?
I mean, if it gets to that, that would be the right way to do things. We have a lot of clients, so that itself could even almost, counteract the purpose of trying to pursue the backup. That could take like a week or 2 weeks in of itself, trying to figure out who wants to stay, who wants to go. The reality is we promised a service. Service is contingent on secondary services. Our goal is to restore the integrity of the service we promised to the best of our abilities. And so that means getting things up. Not everybody has to be happy. This is just the reality of running an operation. If we wanted every single person to be happy and get exactly what they want, nothing's going to come online, right? So it's damage control and restoring integrity of the business intent, and that's really it. That's more than you'll get in the space. It really is. It sounds entitled to say that, but I mean it with all seriousness. This is not the space where expectations are met. But we don't want to be the average, and I'd venture to say that we have been far beyond average when you compare us to the market. When you compare us to our own statements, we've fallen short, and we're aware of that. So that's really how it is. I don't know. We're going to try our best to communicate, give people options, but in reality, our purpose is to service, not to sample opinions and get every single person what they want. That's an impossible task.
Understood. Nanemo's follow-up question was, so for EMF2, what is the rate that we're getting on that once it's installed?
Yeah. So when I say we have a cost of, our energy cost is like 4.2 or 4 cents. That's our raw cost. It's not our cost of running an operation, right? So we can never sell for our raw cost, because then that means whoever is operating the company is not getting paid. The logistics that go into it, no one's getting paid. So that's not a viable option. If it was, we would. Like I said many times, we're looking for contracts in the United States. We found a few that are relatively cheaper than North Carolina. And if we can take clients that had an expected term or rate, and we can move them there and give them that term, we're going to do that. That's not something that's done in the space at all, again, because energy just goes up in the space. But we would do the reverse if it's viable, if we can and it's viable. Anyway, so the answer, unfortunately, is no. That's not what EMF2 would be mining at. That's not what anybody's going to be mining at.
Understood. Look, I mean, if we're a corporate entity, it's just about taking your money. There's your contract. Off you go. Good
luck reaching out to us.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's a corporate entity, it's actually a little more malicious than that. It's here's how much you need to pay in energy per month. We're going to extrapolate it over 3 months. It's called a deposit because we don't trust your credit rating. So for you as an individual, Joe, we want you to pay 3 months in advance for your energy. We also want you to prepay each month's energy. So if you want to mine now, and say it's January, you're going to pay us all of January, because I don't know if you're going to have money at the end of January. And then I also want 3 months of energy. That's a deposit. You might get it back, maybe at 12 months, 24 months, you'll get some part of it. And then at the end of our contract, maybe you'll get the rest of it. We'll see how it goes. That's how it works. And then you're paying a machine. Like right now, if we sell a Bitcoin machine, that's, lead time of 0 days. Say we sell it at $20. Hello?
You rugged for just a moment there.
Okay, yeah. I got a call. So I was saying, then there is the premiums. So these corporate miners or hosts, they're going to charge you a premium. The premium is not like, our premium, which is minimal. It just covers like tax. It covers just the logistics, the shipping. We're talking premiums of 40, 50% on the machine. It's very common. You would never know, right? Because the machine is manufactured, then sold at a marginal premium to distributors, who then mark up significantly to some broker in America. Let's call him another Joe. And Joe in America now knows that this retail miner has no fucking clue how to buy this machine, besides on a website where he's going to pay 25% taxes on it because it's coming from China. And it's also marked up, or could be a scam. So he's going to tell you, hey, I can get you great machines for this price. By the time it gets to the client, it's like 60, 70% more expensive. at least, right? So when you start working with someone, you've now paid them 20-30% on a machine. They put it in their pocket. You've now paid them a deposit that they used to pay their energy provider, and they still have extra, which is their premium now. They put it in their pocket, and now they put your machine on the rack. They charged you $50 to put it on the rack. They put that in their pocket, and now they're not invested with you. They're not profit sharing. They don't give a shit what happens to your miner. And every time your miner goes down, they're going to ask you for $15. They put that in their pocket, and then a year and a half in, your machine burns out. They already got their money up front. So that's the reality of how this industry works.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
a harsh reality.
Not
It's
to
a very,
mention,
very harsh reality.
not to mention them mining using your machine while saying it's down or any other.
Oh man, no, I didn't even want to get to that part because I don't want to
Yeah,
assume people. Everything I just said is just business, technically, right? It's not great business for the client,
Yeah,
but it's business. But then, of course, there are people who sell lead times. Like, okay, it takes us 4 to 6 weeks to get your machine online, but it really comes in 2 weeks, and now they have 4 weeks to de-risk and buy and mine, and then they're like, all right, your machine's here right on time, 6 weeks, see, and you're happy.
Yeah, that's just downright. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm chuckling at Narwhal's question. He's got a great memory. Can a useless ETH GPOs be scrapped, consigned, or bartered with our Casper supplier to quickly bring some Casper miners online for Genesis? Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? Oh, I'm not sure if we could, if that's even the question I'm in a position to answer.
Yeah, no. So
Useless is the word.
So we tried to repurpose the GPUs to see can they be profitable mining Caspa. Then the Caspa A6 came out, so the answer was no. We're not sure what these GPUs could be used for because the vast majority, like 80% of them, are BC 160s. Those are worth now like $50. The 3090s, they can be salvaged, maybe make $400-$500 on the GPU, use that money, and then buy some miners for Genesis, and that's really the direction we're going. So we'll see what ends up. But again, I mean that GPU plan to mine Ethereum was a rough one. So we'll see what can be done. But as the market gets hotter and hotter, it's only better for the value of these GPUs for the most part.
So we spoke a lot. I think we covered, albeit very briefly, around that we were looking at locations. First and foremost for Paraguay as a backup. But we've been busy in the US market as well, haven't we, Joe? So let's give the guys a little bit of an insight in terms of what's been going on, surveys, and conversations around the expansion. Because North Carolina, great location for us, but it's not the only location that we're working on, is it?
Yeah, no. So, we're looking at Texas. Texas is sort of like the place where miners go. It's been the most popular place to mine. And, the United States owns about 35% of all Bitcoin mining globally. Most of it is in Texas. Actually, North Carolina is one of the leading bleeder states for miners where everyone's leaving, right? And it's because people can't run a lean operation, right? If you run a lean operation like we are, you can stay in North Carolina, and we don't have intentions on leaving. Texas, you can get cheaper energy. The only issue is the required capital to develop sites there is massive. But in the time that we've spent trying to solve problems, grow North Carolina, all that in parallel, we've also secured funding. We're looking at about 25 megawatts split between 2 sites in Texas. It would be ideal to actually get them both. It's highly unlikely. And these are multiple $1 million contracts to buy these lands and develop them. Now, if we can land the 15 or the 10 in Texas or both, imagine the scaling that's occurred with Genesis. has been based on a 4 megawatt in North Carolina. So when we say 25 megawatts, you can only imagine how much more scaling can actually happen. And there's no real time limit on Genesis. It's not like, a 2-year project or a 3-year project. So it's very exciting that when we do make advances in Alteri, that there's such a direct, intimate relationship with Genesis. And so we have 15 and we have 10 in Texas. Right now, we're really hoping we get the 15, but the 10 is more likely. But either way, that gets us maybe an entire year of scaling. We also have options in Arkansas. The total available megawatts between the different sites in Arkansas that we're looking at right now is about 35 megawatts. We're very interested in one site that's 20 megawatts. And we really do think by mid-December to the beginning of January next year, we are going to have at least another 15 megawatts that we can start developing, which will be huge for Alteri and Enigma. It would be our work will be cut out for us, but we've learned so much from North Carolina, especially in the harsh conditions that it exists, and we know we can replicate it and improve it in so many ways. That's going to benefit everybody. So the rates that we're looking at in Texas is still unclear, but it's below 4.5 cents. So it would be a very good opportunity. Obviously, that's not rates we would sell at because we're running a business, but these are rates that we would be able to grant, like Genesis or older clients, people that we want, that have been with us for so long that they have the right to reap the benefits of the work, 2 years later. So a lot of candidates, and we'll keep you updated on what happens. We hope to close on some of these in December.
Wow, that's amazing news. I think a lot of those rates has certainly raised a few eyebrows, and it's another viable option for miners to be hosted. Does this mean potentially that when people look to buy new, will we automatically kind of recommend a location for them, or will it be a case of available space?
I think more the latter. It really depends. If we get a 20 megawatt, we probably would just focus on that, and that would be in Arkansas. If we get, of course, Arkansas is a lot more expensive than Texas, so it's still an improvement from North Carolina, but still, the actual pain point here is space and energy, not so much the rate. We're very obsessed with, and this is something the team and I were talking about, and some of the investors. People are very obsessed with the energy rate, and that's fine because we were in a bear market, and so people were always like, "What's the rate? Let's get the best rate." But in a bull market, the rates don't matter. The rates are small percent, much less significant. And so what happens in bull markets is people don't care what the rate is. People just want to put machines on. And that becomes the pain point. Is like there's just no space. There's not enough machines. Everything's on pre-orders. So now the only way you buy a machine is from a secondary market. That's why machines go from $2,000 to $10,000. And then there is no space on the shelves. That's why hosts start charging 15 cents or 12 cents or whatever. We're really setting up for that scenario. We're not pursuing those because it's 4.6 cents, not 5.4. That doesn't make a difference, because what we have in our heads is we are now coming close to the next cycle, and we need to have space.
I think Nanemo's forgetting that he's on stage still because he's typing
I was just thinking about that.
stage chat.
Nanemo, you could just pop in and ask the question.
You just come off mute, dude. Ask the question.
You're getting half as much, but Commander's talking about the bull cycle where we're most likely to see Bitcoin twice or more the current price, which affects inflation.
When the halving happens, Helly's right. I was talking about the bull cycle. So like the halving happens, And then there's a period of the accumulation is actually pre-halving, and then you get the next cycle when things start to create multiples of the last all-time high. So that's what I'm talking about. But when the halving does happen, it's not a 50% reduction in profitability. It's a 50% reduction in yield, right? And when that happens, the most important factor is the rate. But the second most important factor is the efficiency of the machine. And right now, if you look at the machine, the average efficiency of machines on the market, everybody here who has M50s is like 30% higher in efficiency. So what ends up happening is, a machine with 80 terahashes is going to have to go offline. It's just not going to make money anymore. Because if your yield goes down by 50% and you are actually, your profitability, your profit margin on your yield, say was, let's say 40% or 30%, you're now 20% under. You're not making a profit. So you turn them off. So then this balance happens where a bunch of people turn all their machines off, which I'm saying average. So when you say average is like 80 to 90 terahashes, the machine average, what we're saying is essentially, it's not exactly the same, but you can almost assume that the median is about the same. So 50% are below, 50% are above. So about 50% of miners are going to have to start thinking or shutting off their miners. So that's going to reduce the difficulty. So while the yield goes in half, the yield per terahash is going to start going up because people will turn off their machines. So you don't really see a 50% reduction in profitability. You'll see maybe like a 30%, and that's if Bitcoin stays at the same price. Now, when you start moving into the bull cycle, the price starts to go up. People start to bring their machines online, right? So if people are bringing their machines online, isn't that now reducing profitability? The answer is yes. But in a bull cycle, what happens is the increase in the price of Bitcoin is far greater than the rate at which new Bitcoin machines can be added. And so difficulty cannot keep up with the Bitcoin price. And you have this exponential, disproportionate increase in profitability. That's why people start paying 10,000 for machines. And when you're at that rate, when you're in that situation, your energy rate doesn't matter. And when I say doesn't matter, I'm not saying like paying energy is insignificant. No, paying energy is still significant. You're still going to spend maybe anywhere from 10 to 30% on energy. But I'm saying 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they don't make a difference. But obviously 20 makes a difference and 0 makes a difference.
Yeah, I think people should look at it from the side of the existing hash rate and difficulty is so large around the world that if Bitcoin doubles, like let's say tomorrow because of ETF news, if there is physically not enough hardware in existence in the world, unless someone has a massive stockpile hidden away somewhere to double the hash rate, like it probably is like impossible to gather that much raw material at the current time without those markets going super high up anyway, and then you have to produce it. So it's not like you can turn on machines at a click of the button and you get new machines. That's what Joe was talking about earlier. That's where the secondary market goes crazy on machines, because manufacturers cannot physically gear up that much that quick, and that's where you see the crazy profitability jump.
Well, this is an interesting point because it's exactly right, but also the people who are manufacturing machines are not just competing with other machine manufacturers. They're competing with car manufacturers, fridge manufacturers, laptops. So you got Tesla, you have Apple, you have Intel, you have massive companies, all need chips. And so there's not going to be some surge in functional capacity to Bitcoin machines manufacturers. It's just going to be stuck, right? Demand goes up, supply is stuck, supply is backlogged. So it's interesting because this is also, we were talking about why are Caspa machines still so profitable? Why are we not seeing a proportional increase in the network hash rate like we did with Kadena, which effectively ended up diluting the rewards of mining Kadena and then made Kadena really shitty? Why is that not happening with Caspa? And we think that the running theory is we're approaching a bull cycle. the largest manufacturers of Caspa miners are also the largest manufacturers of Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin's at 37K. They have contracts to manufacture Bitcoin machines for a ton of companies, like a lot more than last time too. So they have all their chips delegated. They can't just switch their manufacturing capacity to focus on Caspa. So we're seeing Caspa demand go up, price going up, and the network hash rate sort of stagnant. So it's a very interesting situation. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why. I mean, I tell most people, like, look, you have a machine now. Your worst case scenario. Hey, this is not our answer to when are the machines coming online, or this is a very shitty situation. No, but the worst case scenario is you're going to sell your machine for maybe 3-4 times what you bought it, right? So the worst case scenario is a good case scenario. That doesn't absolve us, of course, of the responsibility to perform. But I'm just saying, maybe to mitigate some of the fears, like everyone who bought machines in a bear market made a very smart decision, at least in how the trajectory looks like now. Yeah, I think there's a few things that can be done. Ultimately, we're very flexible, right? So this is the retail friendly part of our value proposition. We're not like other hosts where, like, if you try to sell your spot, we're going to charge you for 3 months and terminate the contract, penalize you.
Oh, Joe, you're going again.
Not sure what he's done there.
Yeah.
Broken his phone.
The only person I would penalize for canceling their contract is let's pick on someone. Probably Kaneko or Lou. Maybe Escobar.
Pick on the whales. It's all goodness.
Maybe Escobar. He deserves it.
Oh, we love you, Escobar. It's all goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
Joe's gone. He gone.
No,
And he's back again.
Hey guys, I have to hop off onto another meeting, but are there any burning questions or important questions?
Not for you.
Well, let's see if let's give like 30 seconds for people to type out.
Any final questions for Joe? Please put them in the chat.
They asked when moon.
Yeah. That's next year, bud.
Wait, cheese.
I'm starting to like Escobar because this is probably the most profound question of all time. I think January next year. That's where I put my bets.
So, Joe, we normally like a personal question. So I'm going to ask you one. What's been your favorite holiday destination?
Man, I don't travel that often to give an educated response here, but of the places I've been to,
when you came to
Dubai. No, dude, Dubai was not my favorite because I saw Doom.
You saw me as well.
And Heli.
Positive side. Bro,
Yeah,
do
not
you guys want to hear what the first thing Commander said to me ever in person was? Do you remember, Joe?
Wait, hold on.
I wouldn't say if it was explicit. Don't worry.
Okay, go ahead. I don't remember.
We were in a pub and you walked in with Steven and you were the most American-looking people in the pub, by the way. But and you were like, "Fuck, I knew you'd be tall," and I was like, "Shit." Bro.
I actually remember that.
Do you remember that? Yeah, and then Steven was sitting there like looking around and I was like, bro, what's going on?
and then I saw Doom in the back, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Doom, you can tell Doom apart in a room. Like he just stands out.
He does. Yeah. Definitely when he starts talking to.
So we didn't get the answer. Where's your favourite place that you've been?
Yeah, sorry,
Iceland for sure.
Oh wow. Maybe we should get ourselves a
What
mine there.
Carolina.
Yeah, thermal power.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, Pearl's favourite's Madeira. Anyone else like to add anything in? Mine was Costa Rica. Amazing place. Was there for 2 weeks. Ecotourism at its finest. Amazing place. Helly?
I'm trying to think of one. I don't really travel as well too much.
Bulgaria.
That's an easy one. That's a cheap.
Yeah.
Oh man, not for us. He's got some of the best comments.
North
Paraguay.
Carolina.
Paraguay was not that fun, but surprisingly, I really enjoyed their food.
Really?
South American cuisine is amazing. Peruvian's my favourite.
Actually, I think America is pretty fun. If you don't look at the ugly parts. No.
All right, Commander. You need to get on, bud. So we've only got Casper to cover, and I think that's Helly's slot anyway. So
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys. Thanks everyone on the panel, in the audience. Thank you again, and we'll reach out soon. The buy and hosts payouts are coming out in like the next 2-3 hours, I believe. So, okay, thanks.
okay, bud.
Bye.
That also. Oh Jesus Christ!
My God.
Somebody,
Okay, listen.
Maxi, can you kick him, please?
Can we just go over this real quick?
I missed the button.
So, the dashboard, yeah. It's a sore topic, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, it's we had a third-party company do it the first time around. That first time around was when the team was very small, aka Joe, Steven, and like two other guys, who weren't even full-time at the time. So there wasn't enough oversight of that first dashboard. Thus, it was shit. Then the memes were born about the dashboard. From that point on, the dashboard was always doomed to be a meme.
I just seen Escobar's last comment.
He just killed my train of thought so bad. It's crazy. No, as I was saying, so that dashboard came out. It was underwhelming to say the least. Therefore, people were like, "Oh, when can we get a new dashboard?" Which is a fair question. Thus, we embarked on a journey of getting, or we didn't embark because JT and I weren't part of the company yet, I believe. Steven and Joe embarked on getting another company to do a dashboard because, again, we're a small team. We don't have a gajillion dollars to throw at our own developers, let alone hire full teams. So what's happened is we have hired a good professional company. We have done, or I worked with them for a while to create a full what's the word? Oh, a full UI. Everything's done. A website which dashboard is attached to, which the website is for selling and information about the company and all that. That is also done. And then the moment it was done, we said, hey, we're going to drop it. AWS or Amazon Web Services basically said, yeah, that email system you use to sign up and send emails, we don't like it, so we're not going to give it to you. And then 2 weeks of us negotiating with them, basically. So we moved on to someone else. And now that website is fully ready to go. The dashboard itself, because of billing issues and other things that developer needs to get on before the dashboard, because if the dashboard comes out, but then everything else is broken around it, there's no point having a dashboard. It's like getting a ship out at sea that has like 8 holes in it. So we need to fix those first, and then the dashboard architecture is going to be built properly. It's finished. So long story short, it's coming, but there's no point bringing it to you in its current form because you guys will be 3 times as upset at what it actually is. And the previous dashboard was shit. So we might as well just do it properly. That's basically it.
It's the complexity of the multi-tenancy aspect as well. We
And
make
now
our
we
things.
added Casper, and it's a fucking hassle to add another coin. And we're just doing it. We're just killing ourselves over the dashboard to make it better for you guys.
But the good
Anyway.
news is the website itself. I mean, it's done.
Is it up?
It's not. Yeah, there is some idiosyncrasies that need ironing out, but yeah, they have uploaded it. We've just not announced it.
Fuck yeah!
The pricing needs updating.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm gonna stream share. That's fine. We can do it later. Let's JT. Let's do a. I think you want to do office hours with the community where they can come and ask questions. So I think let's schedule one of those and show off the website there. I think 5 to 10 people from the community have seen a dashboard because they helped me. Not the dashboard, sorry, the website because they helped me on some feedback, which was implemented by the way. So thanks to those guys. I don't exactly remember who it was, but thanks. I think Faraz was there. That was about it. Lorda was there as well, maybe. Anyway, so we can show that off this week or later this week.
Next week.
Okay,
We'll kick that off.
Week is fine.
I'm not here next
okay,
week.
So, wow, true. Okay, let's finish up with Casper because it's been like 2.5 hours or 1.5 hours, and I'm
2 hours in, dude.
I'm basically dead. So
and we've still got 35 people, so we've had like 15 drop out who've stuck around to the end of this. So yeah, Casper's been a great success, probably more than we expected. But Helly, I mean, have you got some visibility of some of the top line numbers, because you've been pretty much front and center for the logistical side, the ordering side, so I know how close to your heart this has been.
Yeah, say that again. Sorry, I literally was replying to a message. And
You're a man. You can't multitask. Many will vouch for this. Many will vouch for this, that men can't multitask.
Okay.
So I said that Casper has been, probably a surprise success for us. We decided to do this because we saw, from the existing customers that we had that had bought Casper and hosted with us, we felt that the opportunity was right to bring to the community. I know this has been front and center for you because you've been carrying the logistical side of things, the ordering side. So I think it would be good just to give people in here a little bit of color as to what's been involved in the background and how we've been looking.
Yeah, it was a freaking hassle, guy. It was bad. And the reason it was bad is because so we had prepared ahead of time. So to be clear, first of all, why did we? There was some questions from Escobar and some other people in the community. Why the fuck are we doing an EMF3 and 3.5? Excuse my swearing, but why are we doing that if nothing else, or if most of our other machines, the EMF2, is not installed yet, this and that? We want our internal planning, and JT and David or Maxi can back me up on this one. There was not a single plan for EMF3 until everything was on in Paraguay. All was about to be on in Paraguay. Then we would have dropped an interest form and do all of that. And then Casper came out of nowhere. So we said, okay, let's test the waters, put out an interest form, and see if there's not enough interest, we're just not going to do it. So we put the interest form out within, I think it was 24 hours. There was like $200K dollars in interest, and we were like, okay, we have the established supply chain, we have machines already running from other clients separate from our community, we know it works, so let's do a collection. And because we had thought ahead of time, we actually have the EMF2 art, which a lot of people liked. Actually, I thought some people might not like it, but I think everyone did most people like it? I feel like they did. We have 10,000 pieces of that. We've used 2,000 pieces, so we have 8,000 artworks ready to go. We have contracts ready to go. So it was just a case of let's actually just do it. Even if the collection does half of the interest forms numbers, it's still a viable thing that people want and people have been asking for in DMs or in the community. So let's do it. So we started doing it. We did EMF3. So EMF3 was people that paid for pre-sale. Everyone that paid for that pre-sale, minus I believe like $1,000, all of that money was deployed as it came. So the moment there was enough money for a machine, it was bought. And then we just kept doing that in order to secure machines. When we realized, hey, it looks like the machines that we want to buy are about to start going on pre-sale or are about to start going up, we need to cut the collection in two, and then everyone who pays for pre-sale gets their own collection. Everyone who pays afterwards gets their own collection. That way, there's zero risk of anyone getting diluted massively. There's zero risk of half the people earning more or earning less, being on the other side because machines are coming. So what we did is we split the collection into, again, because we have contracts and 8,000 pieces of artwork, it wasn't much of an issue. So we then proceeded to getting pretty much twice or 2.5 times as much mids as EMF3. So we had to buy a lot of machines. So all of that was a lot of back and forth negotiating, sometimes spending on as much as 3 orders in a day. On top of that, we had buy and host customers, so people who just wanted to buy their own machines, and there's a few of you in the crowd. So all in all, I think we're going to end up with 120 machines for Casper, between all the collections, all the new clients, all the old clients, everything, which is actually a massive chunk. And it's been a long time. It feels like a long time. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks, and the coin's up 3 times. But the prices that we got the machines are, I don't think we could have done any better, to be honest. Because the moment the money came in, we would buy. Sometimes we would pay out of company pocket to secure deposits on machines before there's enough for a machine, just because we knew there was interest and money coming in, and we wanted to get the best machines possible at the best price. So yeah, once we get everything in, we're gonna release. We're gonna start collecting the wallets. We're gonna release information on distribution. As I said earlier, our developer is literally testing our own node for Casper to distribute that. So yeah, essentially Casper's gonna do very well for us, we hope. A lot of people in the space that I respect are buying Casper in their own time, or already are mining with us or with someone else, or in their own homes, some of them with the earlier Casper machines. The market seems to be very supportive of Casper. I spent a lot of time, and I suggest all of you do that over the weekend or the week as well, reading up on Casper. It looks like a solid coin. So I think all of us are going to do well. I think JT and I also bought some machines for our own, for time and effort went into it.
You rugged for a second there.
Oh, what did you last say? Sorry.
You literally rugged when you said JT and I bought.
Oh yeah, so JT and I bought our own Casper miners as well because we're bullish. And yeah, I just want to say I hope everyone appreciates how much time and effort's gone into this, because a lot of time and effort's gone into this. And at a very, very quick turnaround. So before half the market woke up, we were already buying machines. And we announced everything at around around 4.5 cents of Casper price. And it's now sitting at, I think, 14, as much as high as 15. So yeah. Anyway, we're looking at weekly distributions. We're looking at distributing on the Casper blockchain. And yeah, that's basically it. Are there any more questions about that?
Not about Casper. There's 2 other questions. There's a pretty delicate one about BMC that I answered from P Diddy, which is around the payment of the. Yeah. I mean, we have a contract in place, and in that contract states the payment wallet that the funds need to be distributed to, and we distribute, hundreds of wallets every single month. And yeah, it's a legal, until we get some form of legal notice to stop. That agreement is binding until that time. We haven't received anything.
Yeah, we cannot unfortunately be judge, jury, and execution on this matter until we actually get notice, or until the guys from BMC actually reach out and say, "Hey," or they instruct us to do something, because that would be us committing a crime, or breaking our contract. So it's a shit situation, but it's just something that we have to bear with for now.
And we did say in that at some point in the future, once the dust has settled, then we may look to do something for some of the ex-BMC members.
Has their company actually dissolved fully?
Yeah, I know the Discord disappeared. I know I was in it. A lot of the members are over at DIG now, Diamond Investment Group, which is another project that I'm involved with as an investor. But it's just the whole way that
whatever sorry to go off, JT, but whatever they said and whatever they did on Discord isn't what they might have done on the legal side of things. So I'm not sure if their company as a legal entity is still around or if it's closed. Again, we would have to look into that, and we can't really give an answer now. We shouldn't give an answer now anyway.
No.
For context, because people might be wondering, BMC was a company that tried to do similar to what we did in terms of fractional ownership of machines and all of that, but they went about it in a very dodgy and convoluted way with tokens and missions to Mars and some other borderline bullshit, in my opinion. So to say. So what happened is we offered to host some of their machines at a very good rate because we want to support them, and then some of those machines are now left over with us after they rogged, essentially. They are technically our client as a company, not as a community. So some of the people are asking.
No, there is no communication. It's just a payment, literally to a wallet.
So
fully aware of what those guys are doing. I mean, I'm a member in the A1 mining group, as is Heli. DIG as well. There was a whole channel set up explaining what they were doing. They're asking questions, and I was answering what I could. But until we get like some kind of court order or something to stop paying, it's an awful situation, in all honesty. And A1, I'm speaking to him, quite regularly. I know he was one of the largest rocket pass and hash droid holders. Just really, really feel for him. Unfortunately, I've drunk from that cup myself and lost, 7 figures on projects as has Heli. But yeah, we've we really do sympathise with the community, and some of them have joined the community with us here, and very grateful for their custom, and just hoping that it hasn't soured their taste for mining projects. But the thing is, here it can't be about all hype and bluster and new mint and when moon. Those times have kind of been and gone, and the projects that were screaming that hype from the rooftops, many of them now are not here. We are here, and sometimes, a lot of the time it seems the news isn't good news. But the one thing that I can see, as an investor rather than a member of the team, is that the project is moving in the right direction. It is very much 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Although at times it doesn't feel that way. If I was to count the sleepless nights over the last 6-7 months that I've had, Heli, has pulled more all-nighters than is healthy, in all honesty, to keep you informed, to keep the community upbeat, and and at times it has been tough to just get out of bed, and it really has been. So we're very, very grateful for the good vibes and karma that you guys get, and we understand when people come back, maybe they haven't been here a while, they're frustrated. That's what we're here for. We're here to to provide, hopefully, guidance in terms of where the project's going. Very occasionally get somebody coming in and saying, what are all these collections about? Can you talk to me about Genesis? We need a new guide on that, for the record. That is something I have started for people that are coming in, obviously talking about all the different collections and what they all mean. So that is work in progress. But look, we really are super grateful for you. The fact is that so many of you, turn up for these AMAs. You ask the right questions. We are moving forward. We are expanding. We need those miners in PY on because like as long as they're sat in boxes, we're not getting paid either, and it's still quite a significant portion of our operation. You know, if you guys are happy, that means we're happy too, because it means everyone's getting paid ultimately. I did see a question from Melly. Off-topic question: what are you guys doing with Supreme Kongs? An available opportunity for all NFT projects? Question mark. So this actually came up yesterday in conversation. Actually, one of our mod super dude is quite prominent over there at Supreme Kongs as well. So I know Cyrus who's the founder, has announced that something to do with mining. They've actually been working with one of our partners who mine actively with us. They are quite a substantial investor in miners in our facilities. So there hasn't been any direct communications with Cyrus. But they're certainly not the first project that's said they're using, mining as a utility. There was actually quite a number of them, not all of them working with us. We absolutely welcome projects to come along. And Melly, I know your particular project that you brought to the table. I know this experience has not been the best. In all honesty, this is not the way that we wanted things to go down as a first step. With us as a project. But if you do have a project that you're involved with, or you're a member inside, and the word mining gets mentioned, do point them in our direction. We'd be delighted to have the conversation with them. And I will be absolutely cock a hoop when EMF2 finally is on. I have NFTs myself. Ellie, you've got NFTs at EMF2. Is there a collection that we don't hold at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know when EMF3 I have 3.5. But yeah.
No, 2.
Oh, I hold 2 as well. Yeah, I hold everything. I'm the biggest. I'm like one of the
No,
biggest holders in EMF1 as well. So don't even
Yeah.
chat to me about anything, guys.
Yep.
JT and I have like miners that should be on now, but that just are low on the priority list in any client. So we've just been sitting with machines that should be on, that just not on, for the sake of you guys getting machines on. So
Well, exactly. That were taken instead of pay. There you go.
Yeah. Don't even get there. It's a soft topic.
Let's go for it.
Oh, no.
What do you mean? Are you talking non-Casper miners, or are you talking? Oh.
In an ideal world, yes, but this is not non-ideal world, unfortunately. So again, still yes, but it would probably suck on conversion rates because
It's the swapping and bridging that's the issue, because it's a different chain.
And it's a bit rough to do. And yeah, it could be again doable. Is it actually sustainable and effective and efficient? Most likely not, but we will test in the future. Like, it's something that we want to look into, but at the moment I think we have bigger fish to fry than that.
I'm going to invite Pigeon up because I'd love to ask him what he likes so much about Casper, because he's been tweeting a bit about it. So
I have not been tweeting about Casper.
No, you haven't. You've been talking about it though.
Not yet.
He's got a tweet coming about Casper, but Pigeon, what is it that you like about Casper?
So, Casper, right? It's trying to do what Bitcoin was originally meant for, except Bitcoin just failed to do its job, and its job is kind of shifted. Everyone thinks of it as a store of wealth now or whatever, but Casper is essentially trying to do what Bitcoin originally did, and it still follows the same tenets of being robust, proof of work, and being decentralized, right? Whereas a lot of the current layer ones, they're investment Ponzi schemes essentially, where big money piles in. They run up the token, they'll exit, and by the time the next cycle comes around, you likely won't see the token again. Caspa is not backed by anyone, yet it's still reaching a substantial market cap, which is exactly what you kind of want to see, right? It's seeing adoption without needing the backing of major firms, which also just means there's no one to dump on you. That is kind of a very, very basic way of looking at it, you all, but
Have you, Pigeon, I'm curious, have you looked into the architecture of it?
top level, like basic level. Someone I trust has looked very heavily into it, and actually, literally tomorrow, I was going to do more of a deep dive into it, do some due diligence.
Yeah. It's it's a fucking, it's pretty complicated, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
very complicated. And for me personally, I'm not at the level of understanding where I can explain it the way I could explain things, for example, mining. But I would really suggest that everyone reads up on it. And I think we had a few resources, JT. Can you grab those? Because the way that it's not a blockchain, it's a
Block DAG.
block DAG, which is basically a lot of blocks at the same time, but there's a lot of checks and balances to each block. And then there's nodes that oversee other nodes, and then they catch out potential fake nodes, and it becomes a fucking, like, it's a beautiful mess. And excuse my swearing, but it's like 1:30 in the morning, and I've got a massive headache. But like, you should read up. You should read up on it because it literally is very interesting how it was built, and how it's continued to be built upon. And I think, and most of us agree that it's gonna likely go up over a long period of time. Is it gonna go down short term? Who knows? But I think it's a very solid chain. Isn't it now the second biggest proof of work chain?
Not entirely sure. I think it just hit 3 billion.
No, sorry, I meant in terms of revenue
market cap.
generated from mining.
Oh, that I don't know.
Um,
That's not up my alley.
Gotta check. Anyway, yeah, I do suggest everyone reads it.
Yeah, I don't plan on actually reading much of it. So a good friend of mine, he does. He's really big into AI. So he does. He's got a whole server set up for AI agents, so you can just talk with specifically made AI bots that work together on Discord. And essentially just feed them all the information, just upload the text file of whatever I'm reading, get them to explain it to me, and then it'll all make sense.
That's pretty cool.
So I tell you what, the Casper market must have known we were talking about it, and you know how bullish we are. I'm just taking a look. I've just taken a look at the last 3 15-minute candles, and we dropped from 13.5 cents down to 12.7.
Mm-hmm.
So
my stop loss triggered right at the 13.
Beautiful. Oh, it's going to bounce.
Mm-hmm. It's going to bounce at like 6 cents.
That's fine. Is that what you're saying to put the long?
I mean, yeah, but
you heard
not
it here
financial
first, people.
Advice.
Not financial advice from someone who studies charts all the time. We've actually got two professional chart spotters here on stage, who could probably spend hours.
Well, that doesn't mean they're fit to advise.
No, it's never financial advice. It's just for entertainment purposes, right, guys?
Yeah, for education, you port your life savings.
Oh, dude, it's extremely low at the moment. Like, extremely low prices. Like,
I mean,
it's probably low. Most ASICs tend to last pretty much the same time, so it's similar to the Bitcoin time frame. But again, these machines are they pretty much follow the same architecture from my understanding, so you should expect them to be around the same time. But again, that all relies on maintenance and everything around it, because it's like a car. If you have your car and you look after it, it's gonna last way longer than someone who doesn't look after the car. And that's why Joe was put such an emphasis on. That's why Joe put such an emphasis on that we need people in our facilities who are paid enough, looked after, because we need them to look after everything the way at the highest level, not just like what other facilities do where they just clean the machines once a month, for example. That's how you kill your machines. It's not looking after them properly. So yeah, but yeah, oh, I hoped you would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, it's yeah, sorry, to go back to the main point of Casper, it's just you just have to look into it yourself. Like it's not as simple of a concept like Bitcoin has become, like Peter said, where it's a store of value that you can hold in your own possession and custody, and you can take anywhere around the world with you without any issues. That's like a pretty easy to understand top view of how Bitcoin is, and that's how I guess I explain to most people. But Casper is not as easy to explain.
Guy I was mentioning earlier, who actually put me onto Caspa, he was talking $2 to $5. I'd have to
Is that
look
Monday?
into that a bit.
Is that just Monday?
No, not Monday. I don't actually. I only know Monday from Lendl, but I never actually never really
Oh,
spoke to him.
I see. Mundy's an interesting character. I've known Mundy probably longer than anyone else here, and I'm proud to say that because that guy's a fucking legend. Like I've known Mundy for like 2 years now since I started NFTs, and we've spoken on and off for that whole time. And the shit I've seen him do is insane. Like that guy has a talent for spotting coins and trades.
He literally walks on water.
He
And
does.
it wasn't. What was
does.
really funny was that's like we went down this Casper route, and he come in, and it's just like it's all his idea, and I'm like, you know what, you are a god in many ways. You just say what you like. And
Yeah,
the best thing was is that I think some of you in the audience obviously came in off the back of Mindy's involvement, and you know he's been a staunch supporter of us for a long time. I remember pinging him once, and I'm just like, "Oh, I've not seen you in a while. Is everything okay?" And he had some stuff going on, and he went, "Oh, do I even have any Enigma NFTs? I didn't know if I still had them." And he held 93 Genesis.
Such a fucking bro. That guy. Oh my god. I remember one time. This is the crazy stories I've had with him. It's just, one time I was like, dude, I need a good code wallet. Like, which one do you use? And he was like, yeah, I use this one and that one, but I prefer that one realistically. I've got like 27 of them of this model. I was like, bro, what the fuck are you on about?
Why?
Surely enough, I bought some, but he's just got a bunch. So yeah, nah, I love Mundi. Mundi's comedic timing is pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's got a lot going on. He's going to be a little bit quiet for a little while. So
I
he's
look
got some
forward
health
to it.
stuff going on. bless him. So we wish him well.
Yeah, hopefully all goes well.
Oh, Siri's trying to get involved. Right, look, we've been here nearly 2.5 hours. I feel like we've outstayed our welcome a certain
Do another
degree.
3.
As per usual.
No, these are never short. But the thing is that the fact is we've still got like nearly 30 people in the audience. It just means people are emotionally invested as well as physically invested, and we love that. It's what keeps us going. Sometimes, is the faith that the community continues to provide us, and we're enormously grateful for that.
Mm.
So, Helly, any final thoughts before we bring this to a close?
Profound points for myself? No, not really. No.
Profound.
Yeah, I'm a very profound individual, as you would know, JT, out of anyone on the stage.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Pigeon, any final thoughts, or are we going to get everybody just looking at your Twitter tomorrow for this Kaz tweet?
Pigeon is just sharing random graphs and like fancy colors and stuff, and we have Escobar.
He is a staunch Fibonacci user. I know this from sitting on his live sessions in another Discord called Titan.
Yes.
So
even back in Ascendance, bro.
What the hell? Wait, Pigeon is in Ascendant as well? What is going on?
Bro. How do you not know?
How do you not know?
How do I not know?
It was me,
Pigeon does
JT,
master.
and Arex trying to revive Ascendance, and then we got blamed for letting the project die when we were never once responsible to begin with.
Now I spoke to Salt recently. Sorry, we didn't really have a conversation.
No, we this is a conversation offline. Let's let these poor people go. But Pigeon, any final thoughts before we switch off? And I'm going to go to the Nemo and Maxi.
Not particularly.
Nemo, you've always got something to say, my friend. What have you got to the audience before we disappear off? There you go.
Wait, let me guess.
What a nice touch.
Pigeon NFT. NFT
Gross.
Pigeon.
No.
Pigeon trades.
There you go.
There we are.
I respect it.
Does what it says on the tin.
Bro, I got out of NFTs in like fucking February last year. Like right at the peak of volume.
Chill out, bro.
Yes,
Chill
sir.
out. And yeah, here you are.
Everyone
Good
was my
stuff.
exit liquidity.
Everybody go follow Pigeon. He is...
Oh.
He has a really, really interesting Twitter. Lots of good threads in there. And Maxi, last but not least, my friend. Oh, no. We were just... Go on, Maxi. I'm joking. Go on,
Max
Nemo.
might be asleep by now.
Yes, sir.
Good man. Thank you very much. Maxi, any final thoughts from you, bud?
2025.
Maxi's on mute. He's probably asleep, bless him.
No, I'm awake. I'm sending invoices. That's
People
how
want
I
to
make
know when you're going to
money.
get rid of the shitty bot.
Dude,
I don't think there's any
don't
shitty bot
even
here.
get me started on the fucking bot. Don't go there. Jesus Christ, don't go on the bot.
All right.
The bot is perfect.
Listen, I'm going to wrap.
Let's go. Let's wrap it up.
I'm going to wrap things up. Listen, everybody, thank you very much for joining us this evening. The video will be put out in the next couple of days, and we'll get a summary written out for everybody. In the meantime, if there are any questions that you've thought of as soon as this has come to an end, because it would be typical, please do make sure you just tag us in the chat, either main chat or the cave, whatever you prefer. and we'll get on it. If there is anything alarming, then raise a ticket, please. Next at MA, we'll have another one in a few weeks' time. I will also be announcing a bi-weekly office hours. So we're going to have an hour where I'll come in every other week. It's an opportunity for you guys just to drop in. It's not you pop in for an hour. It's just like if you've got any questions and you don't want to type it, you want to ask it, you want
Rugged.
to can come and have a chit chat with me or with Heli if he's available. And we'll do that every other week because communication isn't our strong point, as well we all know. My job is to make sure we resolve that. So without further ado, from myself, the team, thank you for attending this evening, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, everybody.